Good morning, day 82, March 23rd, 2022. A lot of those numbers in there. And you can see we've got a little bit of clouds. We're not going to see the sun this morning, but that's okay. We're still getting the effects of it. It's still light. It's not dark anymore. And I'll show you way across there. Whoops. For those of you watching, I'm going to see if I can zoom in and show you all the cows over there. They look like ants from here on the camera. Whenever storms are brewing, you can tell animals are wired to know like what they should be doing and huddling together. And God's very specific. He takes care of even the animals. Anyway, we're going to spend, I think, the next couple of weeks in Psalms. So the particular Bible that I have and the plan that's within it, this is just, we're going to roll with it. We raced through Nehemiah, Esther, and Job, but we're going to camp out in Psalms for a while. So I'm just going to trust it and go with it. Nothing in God's economy is wasted, or it's just how it's supposed to be. So anyway, the words that I read Psalms 1 through 8 this morning, and the word that came to me at first was reassurance, and then as I was even having more like prayer and reflection time, also the word reliance came to me. So I thought, well, let's just talk about both things because I think they're related. And you know, when you're able to rely on something, isn't it reassuring? One is the effect of the other. And often when we need reassurance, we go to people or things that are reliable and therefore just reinforcing that like sort of connection. And if something is unreliable, then we also get a message there and we can lack reassurance. And that can send us in a direction maybe we don't want to go. So we've got to really pay attention that we are seeking reassurance from reliable sources and paying attention when that doesn't happen. And rather than being disappointed or spending too much time and energy wishing it were different, pay attention to those clues and pivot and make adjustments. Because life as a human is hard and we need things and people that we can rely on. We need reassurance because our brains are constantly, our egos and our survival, like amygdala brain, is always on the lookout for danger. And so we need reassurance constantly. And of course, I now, rely on God as much as I can remember to, but I even forget to do that, like we all do. But I think we're going to get a good example with King David. He is credited with writing most of the Psalms. And these Psalms are basically written prayers, or they're compared to songs or hymns, but those are also, I think, prayers. So I'm going to refer to them as prayers. But we've got this conversation, that we hear from David's perspective, and it's demonstrating right off the bat the reliance that he has on God for his everything, and the reassurance that he is relying on from the outpouring, from the prayers, from the seeking, from all of the things. And part of the reassurance he's even getting actually piggybacks a little bit on how we ended Job yesterday, with the sort of perspective, he keeps God in his proper perspective in place, and him in relationship to God. Like he reminds himself in chapter 8, yes, I'm important. You told me I was important. You said all humans are important. You put them below you, but you put them below you, but you put them above everything else, all the animals, all the land, the earth. Like we have dominion over all of this. We are special. But then, of course, he gives us free will. So then humans have the ability to accept or reject, appreciate, not appreciate all of this from God. And David has a real reliance on reality. He's not naive. And that also stuck out to me because I tend to be a pretty naive person. I tend to have rose-colored glasses on. I try to always see the best in people, even when they're showing me who they are. Sometimes I will resist and try to explain or go, oh, well, so-and-so had a bad childhood, or, you know, they must have had a hard day. That's why they're acting like this. And like, I tend to resist, you know, that some people actually choose to not be so good. And that is something that I'm constantly working on with God on getting over. And even when I see people for what they are, it makes me feel bad. Can anybody relate? So I really need to not rely on my own feelings and my own perspective, because it's often not reliable. I need reassurance. I need to keep going to God and have a circle of friends that I can trust to really, as I grow in this area, come to them and sort of process and say, am I seeing this right? I don't know if what I'm feeling is right, because it feels very uncomfortable to me to like look at somebody's behavior and think, wow, you're kind of being rude. Or then I think I'm being rude for even thinking that. Like it's a really interesting personality to have, and a perspective. And I really need reliance. Now, you may be the other way, where you just see only negative and you have a hard time seeing good in people. And you need to rely on God or something for that and get reassurance that not everybody's out to get you, and the world's, events and circumstances aren't against you. So the point is, our own thoughts are not reliable. We need to have a place to go. For me, it's God, and for wherever you are in your spiritual journey, because I haven't always been here, where I am now in my journey. I've been a seeker for a long time, though, so I think that's a good place to be. If you're just curious and seeking, and it has led me to now rely on God completely and seek reassurance from Him and from other people that I know are also oriented similarly, but not, anyway. So there's a couple of things that he also relies upon and seeks reassurance from, in addition to his prayer time with God, making sure he keeps God and himself and others in proper perspective, not being naive, being realistic. And that's, he gives himself time and space before acting on his passions. Well, we know not always, because, we've already read about him. It's not always true. He's still a human at the end of the day, but he does repent and correct, but for the most part, he is, because he's so connected to God and seeking that, he has other practices like sleeping on things. He specifically says, don't sin in your anger. Take a night and sleep on things. Boy, that's something else that I used to not do, especially with my husband. I was like, we are not going to bed angry. We are going to figure this out. And I would just, I'd be so persistent. And I would just hold on tight, like we've got to, and that is not healthy. I'm going to tell you right now, if you do that, you might want to pray about that and back off a little. Sometimes you need to sleep on things so that you can get a renewed mind. Both of you can take time off, or whatever relationship, if this is happening in something, or if you've got a situation going on at work or with your kids. It's okay to hit the pause button and sleep on it and keep your mouth shut and take it to God, and then let God be God. Let him work in other people's hearts and in the situation and giving him the space and time to do it. Some of us are just so impatient that we don't do this. I know I'm packing a lot in today. I knew Psalms would be rich when I saw the plan. I was like, oh, well, we must need to really camp here. And David in particular, well, maybe I'll save this for another day. Yeah, because I think this is enough. There's a lot there. So who do you rely on? What do you rely on? Where are you getting your reassurance? Is it healthy? And we don't need yes people. We need friends that will be honest, kind but honest, from a place of love, and give us. So you need safe people, and you need to take a lot of things to that higher power, whatever that is for you, and get curious and tap into that's available to you. You don't have to do all of it on your own. So if you're that very individualistic type, I don't know, maybe experiment with going somewhere else for some help. There's something very special in neediness, which means that you need something, admitting that you need something, because then that forces us into reliance and the reassurance loop in hopefully a positive and healthy way. So, anywho, we might actually see the sun poke out here. I might take a couple of more pictures. And whenever you are listening to this or seeing it, I hope you have a fantastic day. And if you're gonna rise, you might as well shine. Bye now.